becoming a bad trend here. Listen, I'm supposed to be the brains of the operation, and Bobby's supposed to be like the guy with the good face and like the the good looking guy. And now you got every day you got like issues that you have to like hide behind.
I'm running bad, man. I'm running bad in some life things. I just keep getting sick and feeling cruddy, and but I was like up all night, like just I don't want to get into details because it's disgusting, but I was really, really, really sick. I didn't, it's just been, it was a rough one. I'll just say it that way. And I'm moving past it and ready for a fun slate tonight, at least.
So I got just to tell everybody else what's going on. So I had my second shingles shot. That's quite a little bit of alliteration there. My second shingles shot. For those of you that are near my age, you'll be getting this one of these days. And from what I hear, and my wife is a testament to it because she got it yesterday, she's like knocked out right now. So I'm expecting to get knocked out eventually. Hopefully it's not during the live sweat, a little later, but we're just gonna play the whole situation by ear. But that's the plan. The plan is at 11 o'clock to fire that up. And the cool thing about it, again, it sets up really nicely for the way the slate works, because that OKC game starts at 9. And so that game is going to be wrapping up the last quarter. And then whoever playing the late night hammer is only like going to be one game left. So it actually works out that most people are going to have exposure to that game that we're going to be sweating at the end, at least. So it'll be nice.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's a fun slate. I think there's a lot of things you could do to get different that are very basic. And one of the things, I'm just going to get into what I like right off the bat because I've been out, so I didn't get a chance to post everything I had today. I did post some of it. I'm happy to post an early build just momentarily. I'll do that in our premium channel. But I really like the idea of playing Lillard and Tatum. And I actually think like you're all, the only thing you're worried about is like the blowout, and Nurkic is supposed to be back and all this stuff. I just think that like no one playing Lillard at a time when we've all been playing him and he's just going nuts and trying to will them into the playoffs in a really tough matchup in Boston. I'm not going to forgive myself if he puts up 70 something tonight and I'm not like on it at no ownership. I do think Tatum gets some ownership for what it's worth, but I'm totally happy to play that, to play the Tatum at his current price. And the other things that I'm doing to get a little different, I actually, this is not getting different. I am playing more of the OKC value than I thought I would. Call it narrative, call it the fact that they're down bodies or whatever. I really like Dario Saric tonight. I know that he's going to have some ownership, but he and Wiggins are the two I'm siding with the most, along with Isaiah Joe. And I will have some Giddey exposure, but not without running. If I'm going to run 3 or 4 from that side of it, from OKC, I'd like to run some on the other side. And I actually think like Kevin Durant is completely playable. Devin Booker is completely playable. So I'm also really into DeAndre Ayton tonight. I think he's going to absolutely destroy the front line against him. So I like the idea of some Ayton Saric. Hey, they played each other in practice. I know we haven't seen the big Ayton games the last couple times out. I still think the 7,400 price is completely fair against a team that can't play against bigs. And I think this is a spot where I expect Ayton to have 40 plus. So I will take the low-owned Ayton and the low-owned Lillard as my way of getting different tonight.
What about so what I fiddled around with earlier in the early stream was playing the OKCs and running it back with Durant. Or you want to even you can get similarly you could run it back with Booker. You're doing something similar. And just taking Ayton. I let the Durant thing's really funny because they said he's going to have a minutes limit, and then all he does is play 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Like I don't know exactly. I know exactly what that's all about, but.
Yeah, and but the thing that I would side with, just to remember, they're at home. Like, and Durant wants to have a good game, but he's not like the show out guy necessarily. I mean, he's 9,800. It's too cheap for him. I still think Devin Booker is really in play here. First of all, Devin Booker's put up 60, 57, and 60 in the 3 games with KD. So I wouldn't worry about there's like a perception of Durant hurting Booker probably more than he actually does. And yeah, usage can't go everywhere, but Chris Paul, and the thing with what I love about Ayton here is I don't even need Ayton to be a high usage guy in this game. I think this could be like a 20 rebound game for him. So I don't really need them to be feeding him every time down low. But I think you can make a really good case for, the 4 out of the starting 5, Paul, Booker, Durant, and Ayton. If I only had to pick one and I wasn't playing Damian Lillard, I would pick Booker. But I think Durant makes enough sense, and he fits other position. Fits in positionally like a little bit, like a little better. Like if you're not playing Saric, I don't really like their power forwards. Horford's okay. I'm just not as into the power forwards as other than Saric and Durant that much. But so I think Durant will have like double-digit ownership. I think Booker will have like 5% ownership. So I would say
I'd like to suggest something for you if you wanted.
Yeah, please.
So I let me suggest that you play Booker and Lillard, and not Tatum. This is the way what I think about. Okay, when you have like the 10-point underdog, stud that you want to pair with the 10-point favorite stud. Like for this game to stay close or whatever, like Lillard just gotta put up a great game, okay? But Tatum doesn't have to. You know what I mean? Like there are more variations I think where Lillard hits a ceiling and Tatum just has a median than both of them having ceilings. I think. So I think if you like Booker, I think you can play Booker with Lillard because I think that I don't know. I think people that play Lillard might try what you're saying. You know what I mean? Play Lillard with Tatum. But you play Lillard with Booker, I don't think anybody's doing that. And I don't know. And you can definitely afford it. But that's
yeah. So I like the idea that here's the only issue that I make. So basically, it would leave me like a swap with a Al Horford and Devin Booker versus Cam Reddish and Jason Tatum. I think I would rather play Cam Reddish and Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I guess you have to do that.
And what you're saying about the median is I 100% agree with your point. The only difference is the median for Tatum is like 10 points higher than it is for Booker. And he's only 8 difference. And you have the best matchup in basketball for a rangy wing.
It's 800 more. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. So the 800 isn't getting me enough because I don't think Reddish and Horford are that different.
That makes sense.
So that's my argument for why I'm not doing it. Because, but to be completely honest, what I did is I put that one in the smaller buy-in, like the exact thing we just talked about. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's I also think I like the Reddish thing. I like the idea of getting a little bit of a game stacky thing there in Boston. I think the perception of Boston's defense is greater than the actual product right now. They've given up, I think that somebody scored 38 points or more against them in 9 out of the last 10 games. And it just is weird for me not to play Lillard when I see something like that. You know what I mean? And a lot of them have been guards and a lot of them have been out of nowhere. And it's just that they're playing faster offensively. They've had a lot of games in less time, so their defense isn't quite as crisp. Whereas their offense just seamlessly plugs in. They're probably the best team in basketball, along with the Suns, I guess. But I just think getting exposure there and just hoping that Portland stays close is fair. And Portland will be playing for their lives. Damian Lillard shot 10 of 28 in the last game and put up 74 fantasy points.
He had a triple-double.
Yeah, his usage is 43%, 44% the game before that. He was in the 30s for a couple games that they actually were played better in. But in general, when they desperately need him, he's just going to have to try to take over. And they don't have the other guys to do it right now. Even with Nurkic back, I think that it's too much perception taking away the whatever the stats of Lillard. And I just think Lillard is going to try and go nuts in Boston. The price is uncomfortable. It's really weird for me to argue for Damian Lillard when you have Luka on the same slate. All I will say is that Damian Lillard in this role has been more productive than Luka in his role with Kyrie in terms of fantasy production. I do think Luka's a terrific play. My original plan was to play those two together. And I think that it's really, like I said, it's very, very strange to play a guy who, basically is the same price as Luka and Damian Lillard over him. But I don't think people are going to do that. And I think that if Portland keeps that game close, which is, again, why I'd like the Tatum run back, if the game is close, I think you're looking at a game in the 120s. And that means Lillard probably has 70-plus fantasy points, and it means Tatum probably has 60 or, minimum 50-ish, Like, I just don't see many paths where if that game is really tight, that those two guys don't put up 110, 120 minimum combined. And then I like Reddish also because Reddish in a close game environment will be the other guy taking shots and just playing enough minutes. Where this is nothing, Reddish obviously is going to have some ownership tonight. But I just am trying to play a narrative that I think works out for me for tournaments tonight, and that's what I'm going to do. Reddish has played.
I have a couple of guys to ask you about. One kind of upper mid range and a couple of cheapos. Upper mid range. It's kind of hard to dispute that Trae Young is probably a little too cheap at 8,800. He's going to be owned. I got him like 20% or something like that. You like him at all tonight?
Yeah, but I just didn't quite build it around that. But I do like him at 88. It's too cheap and it's a good matchup. You can't deny that. So I would have no trouble if anybody wants. But you could really talk me into anybody, to be honest, from Atlanta. The weird part is sort of the reverse of what we thought might happened when the coach left. They actually started playing better basketball and using DeJounte a lot more.
Because if they use DeJounte more than Trae, they probably will end up playing better basketball.
That's what's going to happen. Isn't it shocking when you play the guys who are better at basketball? And meanwhile, Trae Young is probably going to make the Hall of Fame, while DeJounte Murray will be. He was a nice player in his day.
Let me ask you a couple of the cheapos that we didn't talk about, just guys that are showing up. So first of all, two guys that are similar to me, like guys that are showing up as point per dollar plays, but I just kind of don't want to play. What do you think of either KCP and Matthias Thybulle?
Thybulle, I think is the minutes are there. So I would be using him if I'm using players from that game. I don't think I would try to use him as a one-off because there is blowout risk, which is not really what I'm so worried about because his minutes he's going to play 1 million minutes, but we all know he's just the lowest. It's like to ever recommend and say he's a really good play. Like if there's a team that only gives up corner threes and tends to over double or something like that, then you could say he's a really good play, I guess, against that particular team. But he's always the same play, right? We know he's going to play 30 plus minutes, most likely, which makes him at 4K a guy you're going to have in your lineup, in some of your lineups. I don't want to get way overweight or way underweight in the stands. I wouldn't be upset if I ended up with him. I'm certainly not trying to build around taking him. That's the way I would put it with him.
And KCP?
Just, again, sort of a similar type of thing, like showing up because we're looking for value and plays 1 million minutes. I find those guys to be basically the same-ish play, although I think I like using the forward spot a little better than I like using the guard. I don't know. It depends on.
And Alex Caruso is similar, except he doesn't even have any game stack usage. So
the problem with Caruso versus those other guys is one, the minutes aren't as secure. Patrick Beverly would be more of the hero play to me because he can just have a randomly weird 35 and no one will play him. But I actually think that's an interesting thing you could do if you want to. If you find yourself with a chalky build with a guy like Thybulle, play Patrick Beverly or a guy, or I guess not Caruso because they're different prices, but of the cheap guys, Beverly has a ceiling. We just saw it the other day. He's playing minutes. He's not going to shoot the ball, but neither are any of the other guys we just talked about.
Just two more guys. They're both around the same price. I probably already know how you feel about DeAndre Hunter, so I'm not going to get into that. But what about and
I think DeAndre is fine, by the way, tonight. Just the nature of the slate.
We already talked about Giddey, but what about two guys from Dallas, Christian Wood and Tim Hardaway?
So I didn't want to play Tim Hardaway Jr. He was the guy I ended up on because I had 4,800 left with my build, and I liked the rest of the build. So I needed 4,800 for one guy. I picked Cam Reddish. I picked Tim Hardaway. Cam Reddish was already in my lineup. Otherwise, he'd be my pick. But I actually think both of those guys are completely viable tonight. I don't like playing Tim Hardaway as chalk. or even semi chalky-ish, especially coming off. He's made like 13 out of his last 17 3-pointers in the last 2 games. That is not something that you're going to look for as a trend. What I would say as a trend, he's getting more open looks than he's probably ever going to get playing, 30 minutes with Kyrie and Luka, and some with Christian Wood too. So his percentage should be incredible. I mean, if you look at his 3-point shooting, by the way, you would wonder, like, is this guy like the most underrated? Like, I mean, literally go through his log for the last month. He's basically shooting like almost 60% from 3-point range on high volume. It's pretty incredible. But he's getting incredibly open looks, and that's what playing with Luka does. And then having Kyrie and Christian Wood there is certainly going to help too. So that's where I ended up. I don't love it. It's just where I'm at. So yes, I co-sign on both those guys. Neither of them are guys I'm trying to put in my lineup. They just
all right. So I pulled up. So these are again. I'm not going to be showing my sheets like for all the live free streams, but I figured I would show FanDuel tonight because someone came in and asked a specific FanDuel question. Clay did, and Clay was there earlier today and asking questions. So we're going to address Clay Davis's question here. So here's FanDuel, and a couple of the guys I want to ask you about that are different, sort of a little different on FanDuel. One of them is Derek White, but we'll get to him in a second. Josh Okogie from that that aforementioned Phoenix game is showing up much more on FanDuel, and as a result, he looks to be 35% owned over there. And then Valanciunas on FanDuel is showing up as a good play. And the other guy that I want to ask you about that we haven't talked about at all, and it's one of the late night. I think it's a late night hammer game. Is Van Vliet is showing up as a good play on FanDuel at 8,200. So what do you think about any of those guys? Anything specific to FanDuel you want to deal with?
Yeah, I think there's some key points on FanDuel. I think guys like Isaiah Joe stand out more over there in Okogie, as you mentioned. Joval, but I am less on that play personally. Derek White, the ownership, because he kind of fits in a little bit easier. I think you have a really easy pivot to Brogdon at lower ownership if you wanted to do the Derek White thing. It's totally fine, but just remember, like, Derek White, he's awesome. He's but like as a real life basketball player, but he hasn't played crunch time when they have this unit together lately. We've been playing him at this same price and him failing without Jaylen Brown, in some cases Jason Tatum, in some cases Brogdon on a back-to-back, and he still hasn't gotten there. I just don't see that. I wouldn't be trying to say you have to play him, but he does certainly fit in price-wise as a logical play. I think if you're playing cash, you would plug him in right away. I think guys like Lou Dort show up as being better plays over there. I think Fred VanVleet is a totally legitimate play. They've got something going in Toronto a little bit with that VanVleet and Podol screen and roll. Their offense is completely transformed a little bit, and it's really the VanVleet Podol, high screen and roll offense while Podol's in the game, which, as we know, sometimes comes and goes. But guys like Chris Paul, who will be unowned on DraftKings, will be at the same price on FanDuel, very popular-ish. Things like that are worth, if I'm just going to, let's say I'm playing 20 lineups on each site, I would make sure to play at least as much Chris Paul on DraftKings as I did on FanDuel, just because the way he fits in is so much easier on FanDuel, but I don't necessarily know that that's the right build. And other guys who I didn't mention on DK that I find myself with some on FanDuel, Jimmy Butler, and I actually think he's okay on DK for the sort of the same reason sheets. And we talk about this all the time, and maybe this is a good way to just get different in itself. I built the narrative with Lillard. Okay, I could make a really good narrative for Jimmy Butler here. I don't care about the matchup. I told you the same thing with Donovan Mitchell versus the Celtics. He just puts up 55 or more every time he plays the Celtics. It's just what he does. And it goes back to in Utah when he played good teams. That's what he does. Jimmy Butler against good teams, when they're in spots where they need to win games to make sure they're in the playoffs, he's going to go off a little bit more. And you look at his game log lately. He had the one down game where they got smoked against Philly at home after they beat Philly on the road, where he went nuts. 58, 55, 44, 52 for a guy who's not going to get ownership at all on a small-ish feeling slate. I think he's another really interesting play you can make. And these throw the matchup things out have worked incredibly lately. Like we talked about it with Halliburton the other night, with Donovan Mitchell. And I think Jimmy Butler is the other guy who fits that mold, along with where you're spending a little bit more than you want to spend, like along with Lillard as that guy. And maybe I'm an idiot for being so high on Lillard tonight, but I really do like Lillard on FanDuel. I have a little less interest because he, so much comes from 3-point bonuses and then the triple double stuff, and then he turns the ball over a ton. So I actually think Luka makes a little more sense. I think Jokic I find myself with more on FanDuel. But I really, you don't have like these super cheapos. And the other guy we haven't talked about that much is Giddey. With the back-to-back and everything, I do think Giddey makes a lot of sense. Like I would normally almost always like lock him in here. I'm a little nervous with how they're playing and with the fact that Isaiah Joe is not like that much lower usage than Shea is. The thing that I like about Giddey is I like the lack of what's his name, of a Jalen with a no Y Williams.
Yeah, maybe Giddey will actually bring the ball up.
I called it last night and I didn't pull through, but man, imagine if I did. You got Giddey at like 1% as what was he, the highest scoring player on the slate? He was right there.
Is that what happened?
He had like 60 something fantasy points.
That's kind of.
He had a triple double. He had 17 assists. I mean, so assuming they stay close, I think you like to try and build a Giddey stack, but I think that where I play Giddey is where I'm going to get my Phoenix exposure for the most part. And that's a lot of stuff to run through, guys, but that's just sort of overall what I'm
just to give you guys a little heads up. So so everybody knows the NHL slate doesn't start until 7:30. So for those of you, as I did promise, I would go over it. I'm going to wait until 7 to go through the hockey. This way we could focus on taking NBA up until lock. And even if Bobby leaves a little beforehand, I want to spend a little.
I'll stick around because I'm not playing a ton of lineups.
No, what I meant is I'll be able to like just focus on my own lineups for at least 15 minutes, which would be nice. And then we'll do the hockey at 7:30, and then again at 11 o'clock. I'll fire this up and see how people are doing. And what we're also going to do, by the way, remember at 11 is to I'm going to do my live lineup tweaks for PGA. I did update the projections there, and it's a big weekend. It's like a million for first in the lottery, and there's a bigger one. Seminole posted up on Twitter that basically all the big buy-ins like sold out like already, like 12 hours ahead of time, or at least close. So golf is freaking buzzing right now. So as long as it's buzzing, we may as well try to grab some of that. Yeah.
I built some. I mean, look, it's really easy. Sheets, are there any lineups you ever like? For me in golf, I feel like I love every lineup I ever made.
Well, that's what he said. I mean, especially in the majors, which basically this is. I mean, you have such great golfers all up and down the board that like you can't be unhappy with anybody.
And you can build narrative like Billy Horschel lives down the road. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what's so interesting. So this is what I find so interesting about golf. It's the sport that's based the most on like raw data of any sport there is, and then at the end of the day, when people build lineups, they're just strict fucking narratives. Excuse me, but just total strict narratives. Like in the background, they're like, okay, strokes gained versus approach is in the 34th percentile, given this, and the course fit is a 3 versus whatever. But in the end, dude, Billy Horschel wore that red hat last year he played. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of cool actually when you think about it.
No, but also my favorite was like they were analyzing Jordan Spieth last week on one of the shows. I'm not going to name the show that I was listening to, and they're saying, well, he chipped in 3 times from the fringe, and 4 other times he hit it within 2 feet.
Yeah.
But look at him. He had no feet gain putting. He's one of the worst putters. And I'm like, well, how can you have feet gain putting when on one round you're talking about you chip 3 in and 4 are within 2 feet of the hole?
Yeah.
Like, that's 7 holes that you can't get yardage. I mean, you can't get feet off of. Like, it's just funny how people look at things like that.
I love the down the street thing, the grow up thing, Boy, he got fourth in this like 4 years ago, and wearing the same hat as he did this year, something like that.
In 1987, Patrick Harrington was really good. Was really good here as an amateur.
That's right. That's right. Going back to the scene of the crime. That's it.
I do buy into like some of the where guys play well, and it's actually suited me well because like usually it trends towards certain guys who have been playing better in general. Like Chris Kirk is always popular when they go to Florida or Texas or whatever, and like Ryan Palmer is another guy who always plays well in the West Texas events, especially when there's like a little wind and everything, and he always does. And then every time, no one ever plays Ryan Palmer because they get too caught up. They're like, oh, but he's in bad form. I'm like, yeah, but he always plays well here. It's just a funny combination that you're trying to navigate through. And when you see the ownership, it so often slants in just a very bizarre way towards something that I usually don't expect more than most sports.
Here's another thing that I'll do for you guys. I'll build 150 lineups with DraftKings just to show what SaberSim would give. And then I'll give like one example of what you could do. Okay, this is probably what I'm not going to do, but we're visiting all the most updated projections until obviously Trey gets ruled out, which is probably going to happen in 5 minutes. But we're just guessing. So if I built 150 lineups, one thing that's kind of cool to do is kind of predict like what you think is going to happen. Okay, let's see. Let's pull a Sowers. We'll reduce the smart diversity a little bit because we're going to put an opinion on here. We're going to trust our projections a little bit, and we're going to add a little bit of ownership fade, just a little TLC to the sliders. And I imagine we're going to get who's it going to be? Who's the top guy?
The highest owned player on DraftKings?
Aaron Wiggins, 74%. So
yeah, that seems about.
That's what we got. Aaron Wiggins 74%, then Giddey at 60, Isaiah Joe 60, and Trey Young 56%. That price is very very appealing to the algorithm.
It would be very frustrating to me. And yes, it's a good matchup and all that. It would be very frustrating to me if he goes off because everything that's been showing from them is, hey, don't play Trey right now. But because he's not 9,300, he's 88. We're supposed to play him. Just feels like look, and he's probably going to put up 65 or something tonight, and I'll be dead or whatever. But I'm just telling you, like, it just doesn't feel like the right way to play DFS.
And so this is what you could do. Like, and I do this when I'm in the mood sometimes. Let's say I make a build like this, and I'm like, boy, you know what? I just don't feel like playing Alex Caruso. So we just do this. It's not the X button; it's the removal of the check button, is what it is actually. And so remove him, you hit apply, and everything just kind of just reshuffles. And lo and behold, he's just gone. You don't have to recrunch, you don't have to rebuild. It's just all done for you. So that means that Reddish kind of pumps up a little bit more. Hunter, KCP comes up more. But you know what? Boy, I'm not in the mood to play him either. So we could get rid of him. And this is what ends up happening. You get all these OKCs. And what I talked about earlier today, what's kind of funny with the OKCs is I know that between the 5 of them, forget Giddey for a second, but like the other 4, for example, like 2 of them you're going to wish you had. And the other 2, you're going to be sorry you played. You just don't know exactly which ones they're going to be though. It's I don't think like Isaiah Joe has to be the guy. You know what I mean? Like it's probable, but I don't think Aaron Wiggins has to go off. Well,
it's really just the rotation minutes with Isaiah Joe, and he's a heat check guy. Like the thing with Isaiah Joe that's a little different than Wiggins is like Isaiah Joe may put up like 50. Like that is completely within the realm of possibility.
Right.
Yeah. So that's.
And the other guy I would X, if I felt like doing that, would be Matthias Steibel. Just because he's doesn't usually produce ceilings, and that's the way that is.
I think you could make a good case to X all those guys. I just don't know if this is the right slate where you want to do it.
Right. Right.
But I feel you. Like I understand it.
And you give me permission to play DeAndre Hunter tonight, you said?
I think it's okay. Yeah. I don't think there's any like I was stuck between for my last piece on DraftKings. I was stuck deciding between he and Tim Hardaway Jr. and
right.
Whatever,
Right.
By the way, Kevin Love is probably more in play.
Revenge.
Not just for that. First of all, you play 2 bigs, like the matchup that suits him. Obviously, he knows the guys.
And on FanDuel at 4,700, he kind of fits a build I like. So I think I'm going to use him over here. I do want to mention that especially on FanDuel, it's easier to get to. I like getting to the Jokic, like DeRozan thing in that game. I think that's like kind of a cool 1v1 that I could see getting there. Remember with Chicago, they're kind of a funny team because they play bad teams really poorly, but they play good teams extremely well, and they're trying to win games right now. So I would actually give like a little bit of a boost up to that environment. If they keep it close, we should get 60 plus out of Jokic easy, maybe 70. And then DeRozan can easily get his 50. Jokic, we haven't seen that game, but they haven't exactly needed it, and he's had some tough matchups on top of it. I think this could be a good night for Jokic. So just throwing that one out there.
What about for Michael Porter Jr.?
Just the same play he always is.
Yeah.
Massive ceiling, good matchup. Low floor. Same as always. No difference. Just the difference is the slate, I guess.
Then you had mentioned Tatum, not Tatum, Horford. He looked when I first ran stuff earlier. I was actually hand building. I was getting to.
He looked good early today. He looked good early in the day.
Well, what's changed though?
Just that there's other value. So really, he's no different of a play. It seemed more like starve for value earlier on today, and now there's more than there was. So on FanDuel, I'm doing my little make sure I'm playing. I'm gonna just stack the hell out of that OKC game on FanDuel, and just do it in different ways. But I really like the idea of stacking that game. I'm having a hard time getting away from it personally on FanDuel. And it's unfortunately the games I like stacking tonight are you have to stack and pray. You know,
how many are of the jumbos are you going to play on FanDuel?
Just 3.
Okay.
I don't have enough energy right now, but otherwise I would have definitely thought about playing more.
Okay.
Trying to get
I built one by hand earlier today. I'll do another one though.
Yeah, why not?
So let's go through the same process. So if let's say I want to start with Luka. Luka seems fair enough, right? He's a good player.
I hear he's good.
Where do we put him? Point guard or shooting guard? Well, we'll start with him at point guard. And then
I think eventually you're going to end up finding him at point guard just because there's enough other shooting guard / wing combinations you can use.
I think so. You play him, you can't play. I'm probably not going to play Lillard. All right. So my next best shooting guard is probably Giddey. But then I don't want to play a Beal and Trey thing. I don't think. Let's just put the good plays in for now, and then we'll figure out how we're going to stack this a little later. So he will put Giddey at a shooting guard. And my best small forward, so I'd have to fight, you know what I mean? Because there's Ingram, who I was the best shooting small forward. Otherwise, it's now paying up for Tatum and Durant. Boy, I really would prefer to not play Ingram, but why is that? Why do I care? You know what we can do? Why don't we try this? Why don't we try this OKC?
There's nothing wrong with Ingram, by the way, tonight at all.
No. How about we play Dort for fun? Okay, let's play Giddey and Dort. So we're gonna play someone from Phoenix. Starting with the cheapo. Starting with the Okogie. And which badly projected Phoenix guy do we want to play? Because we got to play one of them. So it's either going to be right Booker or Paul or your Ayton play, right? Who's going to play Booker at 10-3? I probably can't even afford that, can I? Probably not. Maybe it's not the idea. Maybe.
I mean, I'm going to do it in one lineup,
Yeah, maybe. But Durant is cheaper, actually.
I know.
Well, let's see what that looks like. I did that.
And Chris Paul is cheap.
Chris Paul is how much? Chris Paul is
2,400. I mean, just FanDuel relation to salary, he's very cheap.
Yeah, 4,700 a man is tough though. If I want to do this,
It's pretty tough. You gotta.
Well,
play
we start with Isaiah Joe, right? I mean,
Isaiah Joe is the under 40 Kogi.
we have a Kogi already.
Okay.
Now we need power forward.
Would be the next obvious one. I would like to throw Josh Green, and if you needed to get super cheap, Ousmane Dieng into the mix.
No, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go.
I actually like the Ousmane Dieng play a little bit if I'm not playing Saric. I like Saric a lot, but I'm playing.
Who's cheaper, Saric or that guy, the other guy?
Saric is 4K. Dieng is 3,900. But it's a revenge game for Saric.
Can you play them both? Because that's like perfect.
I wouldn't play them both together. I think that's a thing that would be very strange how they both get there.
It also is telling me I can't play more than 4 from the same team anyway. So
You can't play more than 4 from the same team. Yeah, that's right.
is there anybody else at 4,100 I could play a power forward just for fun? Probably not, right?
At what price?
4,100. Covington, Batum.
You're getting into weird zones if you get.
I know. Well, but that's why we're screwing around, right?
Yeah, no. But I'm letting you know just that it gets a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The Dieng, I would guess. I'd say Batum would be the next one I would look to on FanDuel.
You know, you don't have to play. You don't have to play Giddey.
You don't have to play Giddey. Absolutely, you could play the blood. By the way, I think Trey Mann is the most like if I was max entering, I would put like 25% Trey Mann on DraftKings. Not Terrence Mann, Trey Mann. Just because there is a path to that game blowing out where Trey Mann is like the guy on the bench who does all the work. Maybe it's Isaiah Joe, but it could just as easily be Mann in a mop-up kind of a game.
What happened to my shooting guard here? Oh, it was.
And to answer the question Green Monster asked a while ago, like, yeah, 4-man stack of OKC with Jokic is fine. They don't go together, obviously. I'm guessing, I'm sure you know that, but like, it's fine.
I'm afraid if I do this OKC with the Phoenix run back, I'm going to pick the wrong Phoenix run back. I'm afraid I'm going to pick Paul or Booker or Durant. And the other one's going to go off. I'm a little concerned.
Well, so that's basically though my build. Like I have, one big lineup on DraftKings. Ayton is in that lineup. I have 3 on FanDuel. Durant's in 1, Chris Paul's in 1, Okogie's in 2, and I just think it naturally builds itself that way with the OKC Phoenix game. The one thing is just like that game really could turn ugly.
Who do we like it? Oh, we got to find a good power forward at 5,900, right? We could play Christian Wood. We could play Horford.
Mm-hmm.
Who's a better play on FanDuel? Horford with maybe 20 minutes, but maybe 28 fantasy points.
I don't think he's maybe 20 minutes. I think he's pretty guaranteed for 30 plus minutes.
Well, that's what we're going to do then.
With no, what's his name? I like Horford. I'm playing him at power forward in one of mine.
Oh, you like Horford better than Wood, you were saying?
I think Wood is I guess that it's actually a really interesting question. I think Horford is if you just look at the game log, is a significantly better play with no Robert Williams. But yeah, Wood has got upside and it's his former team and all that stuff. Sure. I'll throw Christian Wood in 1 and I'll throw Horford in 1, but like I do like Horford better than Wood if I had to just pick one.
This is pretty funny. So look at these 2 lines. So I built this lineup earlier today, and I just redid a build just now, and I think it's exactly the same lineup.
This is what's going to happen today to people.
That's so funny. The only difference is
comfortable with the uncomfortable people.
I'll tell you what's different. The only thing that's different is that the one on the second one here has Wood instead of Horford, and it got to Van Vliet somehow. Oh, because it didn't play Giddey. Okay. I think I like that better.
Yeah.
I think I like the Van Vliet better than Giddey with the ownership, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I keep going back to Valanciunas too.
Yeah. I have some ugly lineups here.
All right, tell you what, let's do something different. All right, we'll just show people how we do this. We're going to clear the decks, and instead of playing Luka, We're gonna do okay. This is what we're gonna do. We did one lineup with Luka. We're gonna do one lineup with Jokic, and then we're gonna do one lineup with Niederland. Right, so let's go with Jokic first. So Jokic, that means we don't have to play Valanciunas. Thank God. Okay. I don't have any run back really with Jokic.
I like DeRozan.
On FanDuel,
Yeah.
see what it looks like. If he's close, I'll do it.
He's close.
Let me see. Where is he? He is.
His projection is a little too low, to be honest.
No, he's not that. He's not that bad. I mean,
No, he's not that bad.
he's 4 points less than Ingram at the same price.
Put it this way: if they cover the 9.5 points or whatever, DeRozan puts up over 40. Like almost every time, unless Levine gets crazy hot. Because it's not going to be Vucevic who gets crazy hot tonight.
No, I don't think so. Well, instead of that, how about we play? How about the other thing? How about we do what you were doing on DraftKings, but we do it here on FanDuel? How about we play Lillard and Tatum? Can you do that? Is that legal? It's legal, but your center position is, I mean, like, there's no real good cheap center, right? I mean,
Your best chances for a cheap center are like something that may not look like, well, okay, so on FanDuel, let me jump back over there.
I mean, I can play Valanciunas again. That's cheap enough. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, Horford, you could use there. Jalen Williams with a Y. Saric.
you could play him play them at center on FanDuel. Yeah, Horford too, right?
Saric is, I'm telling you right now, I think Saric has like if Saric was like 5K, I would probably be playing him.
Well, he's less, so.
Yeah. I know it's a gamble, but like, it's just like a weird, okay, so they're down all of these guys. We've seen this happen a couple times since he's been there. And one of the times he went off, the other time he didn't quite so much. But actually, I don't know. No, I don't think Jalen Williams is out for. Actually, Jalen Williams and Shea have not both been out for those games. I do think Saric is really interesting tonight.
We'll play Isaiah Joe here, and then we'll play Giddey over here. Giddey can play shooting guard, right?
Yeah.
So here you can play Lillard and Tatum and play the same guys. This one's a Saric lineup. And you could, I mean, this is now easy. I mean, you could even play like somebody that's not that bad. You could even play both. You could play Horford and Saric at these positions. Maybe.
Yeah.
I forgot what there is at 4,100. It's not a small forward, probably not much, right? Okay. No, yeah, I can't do that. But you could do.
I'm going to mention one other guy we haven't talked about, and that's Kyrie. I just think that he's another good play tonight that no one's really talking about.
Kyrie?
Yeah.
Butler doesn't work. Joe Okogie. I really would rather not play Thibault. You know what's going to end up happening? I'm going to end up just not playing Giddey, I think.
But you know who's a really sneaky play for a very large field? Nurkic.
If he plays.
Not with Lillard. He's playing. He's in.
He isn't?
Yeah. Kawhi or Trey on DK have 9K to spend? I don't know how. Wait, what? Kawhi's under 9K, under 10. What did I have Kawhi at here? Hold on.
Leaving 7 on the table.
I think Kawhi, why is Kawhi being projected this low? It's just kind of crazy.
This low?
Yeah, I think the answer for most people is going to be Trey. I will say Kawhi makes an awesome tournament pivot off of Trey because he's going to be unowned. And why is he projected to score 40 fantasy points? Like, what world is that his median, you know?
What do you think about I'm going to get to that in a second because that's going to be the next lineup we build. What do you think of
Kind of interesting. I don't
you
know
like
why.
Kevin Love on FanDuel?
Yeah, I have Kevin Love in one of my 3.
You have straight up Kevin Love versus Saric. even though one's 700 more.
Well, if Kevin Love's starting, which I don't know, it's Kevin Love.
Well,
If he's not starting,
we'll put him in for now, and if he's not starting, then we'll go. Then we'll
even if he's not starting, I still kind of like him.
All right, so the next one we're going to build.
Cameron Payne from Phoenix. Where
He's
is
back?
that? So like that's getting super next level type of stuff. Like I don't know. That just feels like what are you hoping for? You need an exact script. Like maybe if you're playing 150, you play one campaign lineup with the OKC blowout run, and even that, trying to guess that is tough. Like the only way I'd play Cam whatever is if I play like Trey Mann is a better play to me than Cam Payne is. He may not play a minute, Trey Mann, but if he does, he could play a lot of minutes. That's the problem I run into with these Thunders. Like every now and then you get Lindy Waters 20 minutes, like there's just a lot of guys, even though they're missing a lot. Oh, I feel nauseous.
So this other one, again, you play Van Vliet and Kawhi.
I think the Kawhi at 9K on DK is like kind of shocking to me. That maybe I need to give up my love for Lillard and play just the Kawhi, Trey Young, the more middling thing.
I was thinking of playing him on FanDuel at like 10,000.
Yeah, nobody's gonna play him. Actually, he might be more owned on FanDuel, which is really weird, but it's more just
nobody else to play.
Ugh. God, I loved the narrative and everything I built with thinking of this thing, but I'm starting to think like if you can get Kawhi and Trey, even just for like medium games, like they don't need to like go off. It just feels like too much more the right thing to do than my other way. You can play Reddish, you could still do that. Then you end up with Jokic at center instead of Ayton. Okay.
Can I get Kuzma at this one? Probably not. Maybe. And then we're back to the 4,800 Kevin Love. Okay. Building.
When they ask you when did they shut down your account, we'll have today's FanDuel rundown.
FanDuel, they don't say nothing bad about FanDuel. FanDuel has no rules, are there?
No rules on FanDuel.
No rules on FanDuel. I mean, like, kidding?
The only thing with the Joval Ingram thing that sort of irks me is like I would play those guys, but I would probably use it as an excuse of why I'm playing Luka or Kyrie. That's just me. I'm not feeling so hot.
So no one is allowed to say that I was not transparent about what I was doing, right?
Fair enough, yeah.
Dude, let me tell you something. The way my line has been performing, if anybody really wants to copy these, they're really asking for it. So I don't know what to tell you.
You've been warned. All right, I think I'm gonna run if that's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, but
these FanDuels, I'm gonna work on my DraftKings.
I'm gonna take a nap and then try and see you guys at 8 or 11 Eastern.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the hockey in just a moment.
Okay. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah. So FanDuel is now in. The only thing I have to remember is I have to look and see if Kevin Love is starting. That's the only thing. Oh, by the way, I got heads up with Laddie and the freaking King of the Baseline thing, and I got smoked. It was like a $10,000 player who had like no fantasy points, almost impossible. But good for him. He's gonna win. He's gonna win by a lot, actually. But all right. Anyway, good for him. All right, let me pull up. Let's see if I can build a DraftKings lineup, and then I'm going to do hockey. Where is this? All right, so similarly, again, let me see what I have here. On DraftKings, you know, it looks like Wiggins is. This is what we want to do, right? We want to stack these guys. We want to play, and this is just jockey, but it's any real difference when you play Giddy. It's basically what I did earlier, right? I mean, what's the difference? I guess I don't have to take one of the Phoenix guys. That's something different I can do. How about that? So if I don't play one of the Phoenix guys, to play Trey and Porzingis, that could be somewhat different. You know? So how would that look? Just for the hell of it. If I played Trey and I played Porzingis and use that as a stack, can we even afford that? Yeah, we could do that easy, actually. All right, so that's somewhat interesting, and I could actually get like a Phoenix run back. I could use what's his names. I could use the Ayton idea. Still have plenty of money left. Okay, that's not the worst. Play Ayton. That's and then we could play maybe another cheapo from Phoenix. Is there another cheapo we could play? Probably not. Still think that Christian Wood is probably worth considering. So if you play like Christian Wood here at center, and then you play, what's his name? Whoever I just said, Ayton over here, then we could play, who is it? Can you afford Reddish at 40? No, not quite. But there was somebody at 4,400, right? I couldn't quite get to 4,400, could I? It's a little annoying. Play Thibault, but I don't want to play Thibault. You almost play. I mean, I could play KCP. 650? All right, I got plenty of time. I could always go play Jalen Williams, right? I mean, I could always just do that. Play 4 of them, just like that. Run it back with Ayton, and then these two. Then you could probably play somebody that's somewhat decent. But not really. There's this glut at 5,700. I mean, above 4,600 that doesn't really fly. So what else can we do center wise? It's just back to Christian Wood. Just back to Christian Wood over there. So this Porzingis Trey thing is not really working for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this this Phoenix thing. It's such a big freaking favorite, though. It's such a big favorite. Reddish, and they could get blown out too. I still think that this is the build. We start with these, and I just don't know whether I want to play Paul or Durant or Booker. Maybe I should just go play Tatum. But it's the same thing, right? It's the same type of blowout risk. Maybe, you know what the idea is? Maybe we do what Bobby was saying. If we played Kawhi and then say you could play Podol at center, and then you could play Van Vliet even, right? Van Vliet at 8,400. I mean, does that work? I mean, that's pretty sick if we can get away with that. Van Vliet, and then we play Podol. He's been so good. And then once again, we're still at this 5,600 thing, right? You could play Horford. I mean, pretty cool if you get away with it, right? Okay. Right. Do I have? Hold on. Where's my? Gotta find my browser with you guys in it. Sorry about this. Where is Studio Restream? Hold on a minute. Wait, what do I do with this? Control Shift A, right? Okay, Live Studio Restream. There you are. Soft Quiet Revenge narrative 2. Yep. Okay, so let's run the hockeys now. Because I think I'm done with my DraftKings, right? Let me just make sure. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Yeah, all this looks. Let me just make sure of this. This all looks reasonable. Wait, Giddy and Vliet, Wood, Giddy, Wiggins, Leonard, Wood. Perfect. Okay. All right, let's do hockey. So basically, that's all I'm going to do with the NBA tonight. We're going to lock in 6 minutes. So if you want to just, phase out, you can. But just to show you what I'm going to do hockey wise, I really haven't even built after the new projections. I'll just show you. I mean, like what I'm going to do here. So we're going to upload the projections, and then we're going to build. What did I play? I forget how many lineups I played. Well, put in for 40, although I didn't play that many. And we'll see what we come up with. So it looks like, again, it's a short slate. Okay. So you're going to get all this kind of crap here. And I'm not too worried about stacking. Just want to, get some good upside plays here. Let's just take a look and see what we got. We are getting some okay correlation here, and basically like 80% Vancouver, which is kind of fun. Be something to root for a little bit later. So in the MMEs, I don't really think I'm going to mess with anything except just to give one little run through to make sure that at least I don't have any like 4 zeros. And so far, so good. All right, so these guys are all like kind of reasonable plays. So we're going to do that. And then what we're going to do is you can watch me hand build the bigger buy-in. Again, hold on, let me change my MME. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so as I was saying, guys, I said before, the plan is to be here at 11 for the live sweat, but as I said, I got my shingle shot, so you never know. I could get knocked out. See how it goes. All right, so I'll pull my lineup builder up in a minute, and I will pull up my sheets to show you what I'm doing here. Sports, hockey. All right, so this is like a lineup builder, whatever it is. I don't know what this is. Maybe I'll keep it, maybe I won't. But this is one thing you can do. So again, I am going to show you my sheets for today. And again, I was going to make a video on this earlier, but it's really simple. I mean, especially when you have 3-4 game slates, you just want to really just not worry about stacking too much. But if you can get like a bunch of guys from the same line all together, it's really strong. And you see all, this is what you probably should do. You should probably play Patterson, Beauvillier, Kuzmenko, and this guy is a pretty solid one-off, Perron. So you should probably play basically these 3 guys. And then Miller as well. And that's why I'm getting like 70% of them. And then you see Raymond and Perron. So if you wanted to play just the best plays, I mean, this is what you would do. I mean, you play. I'll just show you. Let's build one. I don't think I'm actually going to put this in, but so it's going to be Patterson. I don't know if we could afford all this, but just for the hell, let's see. Then Bouvillier, and then Kuzmenko. Who's the other guy? I said JT Miller. You could probably afford all this anyway on a slate like this. And who's my favorite goalie? Let's play no, somebody not from that game. Let's play when Hellebuyck. And 4,300. That's why it's cool. You could play Perron, right? So you play Perron, and then who's the other guy from Detroit? Lucas Raymond. 1,000, and then 4,250 for defenseman. I mean, you could figure that out. I think it shouldn't be that hard. I mean, I see two like literally right off the bat that you can play, and they're actually you can't play them from the same team, but there's like a Detroit guy you could play. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that's not a defenseman. There's a Vancouver guy you could play. There's a Chicago guy you could play. I mean, just kind of like just one-offs there. Like for example, who's the Detroit guy? It is play Waldman, and then you just find some 3,600 guy who you can find pretty easily if you just scan through the sheets. Can't completely fill that in for you. So that's what you do on a slate like this. I mean, it's really not that difficult to build here. So we will save that. I guess that's pretty much it. Couldn't be more transparent. Hopefully we get lucky and we win. And I'll see you guys at 11.